Assalamu alaikum guys. Today is more of a serious video and it's my reflection on the taking of Elliot Eastman and the sensationalization of the news around his taking. First off, my heart goes out to the family of Elliot. We all, especially the vloggers in the community, we all hope that he's reunited with his family, that he's reunited with you guys as soon and as safely as possible. Before I get started into this reflection, it's been something that's been on my mind since he was taken. He was taken about 1 month ago, almost a month ago to the day today. And the reason I'm making this video is not only was he taken, but the way that the story has been framed in the news. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with me and this channel, I work and live in Saudi Arabia, but when I'm not in Saudi Arabia, I live in Zamboanga City. Zamboanga City, for the better part of 7 years, has been a great place for me to stay when I'm not at work in Saudi Arabia. I stay there with my in-laws, and I love it. I had no idea until this recent kidnapping that it was considered to be the quote-unquote red zone of the Philippines. Now, I want us to bear that in mind before I move forward, that if I had thought that the Philippines was a quote-unquote dangerous place to live, or that I would be kidnapped as soon as I arrive, I would never visit, let alone stay there, or plan on even settling there. So bear in mind, guys, for those of you who are unfamiliar with me, I'm someone who loves both Saudi Arabia and the Philippines. I really consider the Philippines to be home. I miss it a lot, actually, when I'm not there. And I love the people of the Philippines. So that said, I want to get into the rest of the video. I got curious about this, the whole red zone thing, and I wanted to know more about the kidnappings that take place in the country. Because it's something kind of like an older story. Like, this phenomenon of kidnappings is something that I remember from maybe the early 2000s as happening quite often. Not these days. So I did some searching online, and the only article that I found that broke it down by region was Philstar. And I'll put the link in the description of this video. Now, Philstar, when you read through the article, it was published at the end of 2022, I believe, and it listed that in 2022, there were a total of 31 kidnappings in the country. So I said, okay, 31 kidnappings in a country of over 100 million. It's not too bad. I mean, if you compare it to where I'm from, the United States, it's pretty good. So I read through the article further and found that 80% of the kidnappings were actually from Luzon, the area in the north, the farther northernmost province of the country. Now, that's something that you would really never know if you were thinking that, it only happens in the quote-unquote red zone. So it makes you wonder, how is it that 80% of these kidnappings are happening in the north? And then you read further, the second most kidnapped area, or the area where kidnappings occur the most, is in Cebu, another really quite nice place, by the way, guys. So the north, Cebu area, and then the rest were just one or two here and there spread throughout the country. Okay, interesting. Now, in the case of Elliot, like me, is an American citizen. So it begs the question, why aren't we hearing about these other kidnappings? I mean, I hadn't heard about any of these kidnappings until I opened up an article about it. You read further into the article and you find that, who are the people being kidnapped? Of the foreign nationals being kidnapped, the majority of them are Koreans, followed by Taiwanese and then Chinese. Very interesting. And it makes you wonder, why is the media giving more value to the life of one American citizen than it seemingly does to Korean and or Taiwanese or Chinese citizens? I never have heard of any vlogs, and I've been watching vlogs out of the Philippines for years. I haven't heard any vlogger talk about any other kidnapping except for this one. So now, that's not to diminish this one, it's just to kind of point out that lives don't seem to be valued in the same way. Okay, interesting. So we've got a red zone in Zamboanga for a place that doesn't have the majority of the kidnappings in the country. Maybe there are some other issues. Okay, that's up to whoever designates these zones to decide, I guess. But in terms of kidnapping, we can see that it's definitely not the leader in that. In terms of those people who are being taken, and those who seem to worry a lot, I mean, we've got a lot of Western expats who seem to be worried about this. Again, the vast majority of people who are kidnapped are not Americans or not Western. Maybe it's about who the kidnappers are. I mean, in any case, kidnappers, generally speaking, for the last few years at least, since 2022, have been involved in organized crime. It has nothing more to it than that. Like, there are criminals in every community. Criminals from my community exist, that's for sure. And in the case of Elliot, it could just be a criminal element, or it could be a personal grudge. We're not really sure. Like, that still hasn't been narrowed down. So I think that there's a combination of things happening in this case. When you look at the rare occurrence of a kidnapping in Zamboanga, most of the time it's done by somebody of a Moro or Muslim background like my background. So the news media outlets, they seem to kind of love that. It's quite popular, to have a familiar bad guy, to come and take some innocent person. It's horrible, but that's what it is. And it's not as juicy, it's not as fun, or it's not going to get as many clicks or likes if it just happens that the Koreans are being kidnapped by gang members, or by pogo, criminals, or any of these other organized criminal elements. It doesn't lead. It's not juicy enough. So if you have the good combination of being kidnapped in a quote-unquote red zone by insurgent quote-unquote terrorists, wow, it's big news. But if you're unfortunately from another nationality that's typically well-to-do, I mean, Koreans and Taiwanese aren't the poorest people in the world. They're still faring pretty well. But unfortunate for them, if they're to get kidnapped in the Philippines, then it's like page 6 news. Nobody really cares about it. So that's something interesting to bear in mind, and it's been on my mind. I've seen other vloggers post about their safety, and I've seen other vloggers just comment about Elliot's case in general, and I've found thousands of comments. I mean, some videos get over 1,000, some videos get 500 or so comments about how bad Zamboanga is, how bad Mindanao is, and I just feel like it's parroting what people hear on the news. Guys, if you haven't visited there, I recommend that you do visit. It's a great place to visit. Is there crime there? Yeah. And every administration deals with crime in a different way. Is there crime in the north? Yeah. I mean, there's crime everywhere. And if you're worried about bad things happening to you, don't leave your house. Just stay put, stay in your bed and play video games for the rest of your life. But if you want to live your life and be normal, get out there. I mean, in terms of bad things, quote unquote, happening to you, car accidents by far are probably going to take everyone else's life, or you have a higher probability of being in a car accident than being kidnapped anywhere in the world. So let's be real, right? Let's be real about it. Anyways, guys, I hope that Elliot's reunited with his family, and I hope that this issue is resolved as soon as possible, especially as someone whose in-laws live in Zamboanga. As someone who loves Zamboanga, who loves the people who live there, I really love the place, and I'm tired of the bad news. Yes, there is bad news out of there, but I'm tired of the news being sensationalized and blown out of proportion in respect to the news elsewhere throughout the world, and especially in the Philippines. We have bad news everywhere, and we can't just focus on all the bad. Anyways, y'all, that's my reflections, and I hope that this made sense to you, and I hope that it gives you time to maybe pause and think about where the media leads us and why it's doing that. What's the angle behind that? Is there an angle? Anyways, y'all, you tell me what you think. Like and subscribe if you like this reflection, or if you like the vlog in general. I've got my daily life here, and I mostly focus on life in Riyadh city, but I do also some traveling videos here and there. Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bye-bye.